We are now joined by Kyle Larson, driver of the number 5 Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports. If you have a question, please raise your hand and we will get a mic over to you. We'll start over here with Nathan, and then we'll go to Zach.
Nathan Son with the podium finish. Kyle, you've obviously won the last 2 races here, so what's just clicked for you here these last couple of years?
I don't know. I think even when I was at Ganassi, I would say this was one of our better tracks, for racing. And then you come to Hendrick Motorsports, and they have a really good package for here and setup. Chase has pretty much dominated and won lots of races here and led lots of laps. So things just kind of worked out for us the last couple of years to get the win. So, but we've been fast, probably not as fast as Chase still, but hopefully today, we can be competitive and have another good shot.
You're, I think, 28 points back from third right now in points. So is that kind of the goal these next 2 weeks? Try to get up to third in points?
Yeah, definitely. I would say that's our goal for sure, is to get to third, get those. I think it's 2 extra playoff points if we can do that. It'll be tough. Williams really good at road course racing and super speedway racing as well. But we've been really strong here at Watkins Glen, and hopefully things will work out for us at Daytona to get some points.
We'll go to Zach and then up in the front to Jerry.
Zach Sterniolo, NASCAR.com. Kyle, obviously touched on it that Hendrick has won each of the last 4 here, but just one next-gen race here. What did you guys feel like you guys learned with this car a year ago, and can that still apply this year despite how much the car has changed and what teams have learned?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll be here this weekend with a less downforce package. I would say most of the tracks that we've ran that on, though, I don't really feel much difference in it. But, we'll see once we get out there and practice if it feels different. Last year I thought, our cars, Hendrick Motorsports, were, much better than the field. So I hope that's still the case this year. I'm sure, everybody's caught up a little bit. I'm sure we've gotten hopefully better a little as well. But, I felt like last year, especially the 9 and the 5 really stood out in the field compared to everybody else, and we're able to pass and get to the front, not easily, but we didn't get stuck like typically you do in your short track or road course stuff with this car. So I hope we're good again and can qualify well here today and have a good race on Sunday.
We'll go to Jerry, then Dustin and Holly.
Jerry Jordan, KickingTheTires.net. This season so far has been, kind of all or nothing. You've had 6 DNFs, a bunch of top 10s and some wins. How important will consistency be going into the end of the playoffs to go through?
Yeah, obviously consistency is the most important thing I think about the playoffs. But thankfully there's only one super speedway in the playoffs, so we've DNF'd every super speedway this year. So that's where a lot of that's come from. And I can't think of the other DNFs. Bristol, and that was just I kind of started all that, and then I can't remember where the other one was. But we've been, I feel like here the last half of the regular season, we've actually been pretty consistent. So maybe not quite as fast as what we were the first half when we were, leading lots of laps and contending for wins, and then you're getting caught up in something and not getting a great finish. But I feel like we've as a team executed pretty well. So that's important when it comes to playoffs, but you still want to be a little bit better, and you would love to get some wins to lock yourself into the next rounds.
Daytona's the next race. It's, if your track record, can it change, and do you go in there with your fingers crossed thinking, hey, I want to make it through here and get that, not wreck out this time?
Yeah, that's the goal for me every time is just to finish, but not able to reach that goal yet this year. So, I don't know. I would love to go there and you just finish. Honestly, I would hate to end this year and have a DNF on all the super speedways. That'd be pretty embarrassing.
We'll go to Dustin and then to Holly.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Goodyear will have a different tire at Bristol. They're saying they're looking at probably a different tire at Martinsville, and they'll have a different tire at Phoenix compared to previous times. That Phoenix tire is the New Hampshire one that was also tested in the Richmond test. You've been around long enough where, years ago, the sport didn't really look to make changes in the playoffs. And here are Bristol a cutoff race, Martinsville potentially a cutoff race, and the Phoenix race a championship race with now a different tire. How does that change things, and what's your thoughts about, maybe these types of changes in the playoffs?
I don't really have an opinion. It doesn't matter to me at all. I just hope that our team does their homework well and you can figure out the engineering behind the tire well enough to implement it to our race cars and be good like we always are at Bristol. We won at Martinsville and we're great at Phoenix as well. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't mind it. I think I want to see the racing get better for sure, and if the tire helps that, make it change quickly.
Do you think the tire can have much of a impact in any of those places, or particularly Phoenix? Again,
I don't even know what the difference is in the tire, so I mean, they wouldn't change it, I guess, if they didn't think that it would make it better.
Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah, I mean, I hope it makes a little bit easier to pass, but it's still been tough to pass everywhere. Even New Hampshire, I guess, is where that tire was ran.
We'll go to Holly.
Hi, Kyle. Holly Kane with the NASCAR Wire Service. If you were to be super honest,
I'm
which
always honest.
you always are, do you notice an intensity pickup going on here in the last couple of weeks? And do you expect to see that here in this race and obviously next week at Daytona with the guys trying to either point their way in or get those last wins? I mean, do you feel that as the playoffs are coming on?
I feel like I haven't felt that intensity pick up. I don't know why. I'm not really sure. I think drivers closer to the cutoff have just been a little more like, I think the points were within reach there for a little while for a lot of the teams that were on the cutoff. So I think they weren't really in their minds in must-win situations. So I think if anything there was maybe some less aggression just because they were trying to just maximize their day as far as gaining points. So I mean, maybe you'll see that change here the next couple races. But even Daytona, I feel like every year that it's been the cutoff race before the playoffs, like, man, it's gonna be crazy, it's gonna be intense. All these guys are gonna be going for it, and those guys' only shot of making the playoffs is to win, and you can't win if you're crashed. So typically they all just ride around until the end of the race, and they try and get up there, and usually don't make it happen. But or the whole field wipes out, and the 3 squeaks by and gets a win. But no, so I honestly I feel like at this point of the year it gets a little less aggressive. Maybe if you see it come down to a late race restart or something, that's when you see the aggression pick up. But from start to finish of a race, I think it's less aggressive.
We'll go in the middle to Dustin.
Dustin Albino, Jason, Kyle, with the positions that Chase and Alex are in over the next 2 weeks, kind of off that question, but how can you help them between here and probably especially next week at Daytona?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You don't really know how the race is going to play out, but yeah, obviously if there's if there's room to help, I'm more than willing to do what I can to try and benefit their race without doing something egregious. But like at Michigan, I felt like Alex and I worked really well together when we went to the back, and I helped him kind of get going forward, and then you ended up getting crashed or crashing. But yeah, and then I mean, Chase is gonna be really fast this weekend, so I imagine he's probably just gonna dominate anyways, and probably not need anybody's help. But yeah, no, it's I would love for each of them to win one of these or both of these races coming up and get all 4 Hendrick cars in the playoffs.
We'll go here to Bob.
Bob Hawkers, Fox Sports. Last year, you talked about Daytona, everybody wrecked, but part of it was because of the rain and NASCAR not throwing the yellow soon enough. I'm curious how you felt NASCAR's handled rain over the last year, because it seems that they're much more aggressive to throw the yellow for less moisture.
Yeah, no, it seems that way, and I think, I mean, it's good. You always want them to err to the cautious side. At Michigan, I was like, God, don't throw the yellow. Like, it's not that bad. I just want to get to halfway so we can leave. Where they threw it a couple of times, or we delayed, restarting. You're like, God, like, we could totally go green right now. But, I'm sure there's some other drivers that, maybe had different opinions. So I'm sure they always err on the safer side of things, which is good. So yeah, I don't know. It's good. It's good. I think they got beat up pretty bad after that. So yeah, they've taken it a little more serious since then.
We'll come down here to Kelly.
Kelly, CrandallRacer.com. Kyle, we've run 4 road course races this season without the stage breaks, which was a big deal coming into the year. Has that been noticeable to you behind the wheel as the driver? Because you look at last weekend in Indy, we had that long green flag run after the early caution. Has that changed anything for you behind the wheel?
Well, it's just more physically demanding for sure, and like wrapping your head around it mentally is took an adjustment. I remember at Coda, like I kind of forgot that like we don't have a caution, and I'm racing really hard, and you're like getting your heart rate up and pushing to the end of that stage, where typically you can like relax. As soon as you cross the start finish line, it was like, oh shit, like we still have to keep going, and yes, that was like mentally just tough, trying to manage your race and your body, I guess. And then yeah, Indy, kind of the same thing, but I was more ready to keep going. So yeah, and it was hot, but I enjoy it. It's more of a pure race. I know it's super boring on TV, probably with no cautions, but I think the strategy and the race playing out how it should is what racing's all about, especially road course racing, I think. So yeah, I think with the old way how it was, it just wasn't ever fair. I felt like that teams that run around 20 or 30th could like stay out and get stage points and take them from teams who are really fast. Where now it's if your car's fast, you stay up front, you get the points that you deserve and get a good finish.
Are there any final questions for Kyle? We'll wrap here with Dustin. We'll get one right here as well.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Obviously, since we're here and what happened last year, and I know you talked afterwards about when you and Chase talked shortly afterwards and talking about being a positive talk, and I think you even said you did more of the listening. I'm curious, when you have a situation like that with a teammate, with maybe different than another competitor, what did you learn from that experience, and how did that change things or help you guys between the two of you so you can compete head to head as you had to and will have to in the future?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm I'm sure I answered all those questions last year, but
I didn't know if anything changed upon reflection because of the time, and obviously
yeah, I mean, I think if I was in the same exact position as I was last year, I think I would be a little less aggressive into turn one, and you probably would have a different result. But I also think Chase would probably choose a different lane than he did last year, knowing that you can control your own destiny being from the right lane.
And we'll wrap right down here in the middle.
Andrew Laguerre from the Elmira Star-Gazette. For a long time, it was just Watkins and Sonoma in terms of road course stops, and obviously, last few years, you guys have had more road course opportunities. I'm just wondering how you think maybe that's impacted the level of competitiveness in racing at tracks like Watkins Glen.
Well, I don't know if it's raised like the level of competitiveness or anything like that, but I think it's I feel like I would love for there to be a couple less on our schedule, but I also think it's been good for our sport to have as many as we do, because it's kind of allowed that crossover, with international drivers and drivers of different backgrounds to come, run our races. I think if you had 3 or 4 cup races on a road course, I don't think you'd see guys like Jensen Button or, even maybe SVG coming to race, as willingly as they are now. So I think it's good for our sport that we do have as many as we do. I would love to have 1 or 2 less, but I don't know how that affects things with the international competitors. I do think it's really awesome to be able to share a racetrack with like everybody that we did last week. I think it's awesome. So, but NASCAR is an oval sport in my opinion, so I would love to see us on a little bit more ovals.
All right, Kyle, thank you for your time. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks.